training camp. Every NFL season begins with training camp. It's 3 or 4 grueling weeks of workouts. Training camp. I really don't think much of training camp. I really don't follow training camp. I don't like preseason games. I tune in when the regular season starts. But what happens in training camp is one of the keys to the team's success when the regular season begins. Understand, champions are not made on Super Bowl Sunday. They're just recognized there. And so a championship season begins with what takes place in a championship training camp. Now, all of us in this room, we have big goals. Anybody here with big goals? I mean, you've got a real vision for your life. We have big goals. We have God goals. We have career goals. We have personal goals. And all of these things are wonderful. And prayerfully, all of these goals are informed and organized by prioritizing God. They are informed and organized around the will of God and don't compete with one another, but complement one another. But the point is that you and I have a vision of a preferred future that we are pursuing. And yet we have to make sure that we are investing the proper amount of time in preparing for that future. And the work that we do, the things that we learn, the sacrifices that we make, that is for us our training camp, and it prepares us to step into what it is we have been preparing for all along. Friend, our training camp determines our future because champions are not made on Super Bowl Sunday. They are only recognized there. They receive the trophy there. And so the Bible speaks of the necessity of training. And I want you to read this passage with me, 1 Corinthians chapter 9, 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 24 and 25. Come on, let's read it together. Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize. Everyone who competes in the game goes into what? Everyone who competes in the game goes into strict training. They do it to get a crown that will not last. But we do it to get a crown that will last forever. We're talking about training camp. And so there are several reasons why teams have training camps. And I want to share with you 4 purposes of training camp on today. First of all, training camps are designed for bonding as a team. They are held so that teams can practice execution. In training camp, it is designed so that people will have to face off with adversity. And then in training camp, they receive coaching. And so the first is team bonding. Teams become teams in training camp. The players bond with one another. And so you got older veteran players bonding with rookies. You have those who have come over from other teams, free agents, bonding with their new teammates. Teams become teams in training camp. And no sport requires more teamwork than football. I want you to think about it. 11 people on the field at the same time working together as a unit. That's a whole lot of teamwork. In fact, the only sport that requires more teamwork than football is the sport called life. And my question for you today is, who are your 10 teammates? I mean, who are you running with? Who is helping you to tackle the challenges of life? You and I can't be champions all by ourselves. It requires some team synergy. Look at somebody near you and say, who are your 10? Who are your 10 other teammates? And understand, you can't get to where God is taking you with just your mama, okay? I know your mama is amazing. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Yeah. We love our mamas, but let me tell you something. You need more than your mama. You need more than your mama, your little sister, and your friend from high school who no longer lives in Austin. We need people who have experienced things that we have not experienced. People who think in ways that those who grew up with us do not think. And so what that means is that we've got to trust God enough to trust other people enough so that they can be on our team, because this Christian life is not a solo sport. It requires teamwork. And listen, it does not matter how many degrees that you have behind your name. You can die by degrees. You and I can die by degrees. It's not about that. It's not about your talent. It's not about any of those things. And here's what I've learned. There are people who can be popular, but they're not connected to anybody. And friend, you and I, we've got to determine that we're going to have real teammates and have team synergy if we're going to live a championship life. Yeah, we're going to live a championship life. And this is true even of the most talented among us. Are you familiar with this dude right here? This dude right here. You familiar with him? Mahomes has become one of my favorite players. Now, they tell me I'm not an expert. I just Google a lot. I'm not an expert. But they tell me that he has the chance to be the best quarterback ever. That he has more arm talent and that he is more accurate right now. Just his third year in the league, by the way. He is more accurate right now than anybody else in NFL history. Last year was his second year in the league, and he threw 50 touchdown passes, and he won the MVP of the league. Listen, he is the main reason why the Kansas City Chiefs are in the Super Bowl. And they are making their, I see we got Kansas City fans here. And they are making their first appearance in the Super Bowl in 50 years. Now, I want you to watch Mahomes work. Watch him work.
On 2nd and 10. Down the middle. Touchdown, Kansas City. Second and 10 as that Tennessee defense drops back. As long as try to make a diving tip, and Mahomes who tiptoes inside the 10, still not down. Oh, what a run! Out of this world! Touchdown, Kansas City.
Quarterback had less time.
Slings it way down the field to Watkins. Sammy Watkins for the touchdown.
He's a beast. He's a beast. But now, did you see him on the field by himself? He had 10 other teammates who were playing the game with him. In fact, he has the best set of receivers in the NFL. He has one of the best tight ends, and he's got one of the best offensive lines Don't make any mistakes about it. He makes them better, but they also contribute to his success as well. And even if you and I have Mahomes-like talent, we can't take the field by ourselves. You and I need a team. We need somebody to throw the ball to, and somebody who will throw us the ball. We need somebody to pick up our fumbles, and someone to whom we can turn the ball over to. Friend, you and I need veterans to encourage us. We need peers to walk with us, and we need some rookies that we can help, because we live championship lives when we serve, and when we are served by other people. It takes 10 people, 10 teammates to win in this game. And so in training camp, they bond as a team. But in training camp, they also practice execution. Everybody say, I've got to execute. And so training camp is about executing plays. I mean, you can't win if you can't execute plays. And so in training camp, you review, if you were already on the team, the playbook. You learn the new plays. If you are a rookie and you're just starting your NFL journey, you've got to study the playbook at another level. In fact, it's so serious that they give you the playbook before you even come to training camp. And you and I have to study the plays when it comes to the kingdom of God as well. And so at training camp, they go and they study the plays and they execute the plays. And they do it over and over and over again until they have internalized the plays at a level that when they are executing them, they're not even thinking about it. And so the play is called, and they just instinctively carry out their assignment. And when they execute like this, and they execute at that level, then they can run the play under extreme pressure in the game. Talent is wasted if we don't execute. The difference between a bad team and an average team is execution. The difference between a good team and a great team is execution. The difference between a team who appears in the Super Bowl, and we're going to see this today, a team who wins the Super Bowl, is execution. And similarly, you and I have got to set our hearts on learning God's playbook and executing the plays, because talent is wasted when there is no execution. So what that means is that you and I have to be able to execute the common plays of God, because those plays, in fact, all of God's plays are championship plays. So that means we've got to pray. And friend, listen, we got to pray without wondering, did I say that right? We got to pray without wondering, am I doing it right? All that means is that you hadn't spent enough time practicing the play. We've got to praise God without wondering if the person next to us think we're being extra. We have to sacrifice and serve instinctively as a first response, not having to overly reflect on it, not having to have people congratulate us for weeks for just being a Christian. That just means I haven't practiced the plays enough. We have to study and trust God. Friend, all of these are championship plays. We must learn the plays and practice them. God has the best plays. Friend, God has blitzes that we can run. God has some running traps. God has some draw plays. God has as well many screen passes and trick plays that this world does not understand in order to win a trophy in this life and the one in the next life. You and I have got to learn how to execute. Look at somebody near you and say it's about execution. Friend, you can come to church for years and not be able to execute. And what God is saying to us today is that execution is the key. The scriptures tell us that if we engage them regularly, that you and I can learn how to run God's plays. All scripture is God-breathed and is useful for teaching, for rebuking, for correcting, and for training in righteousness, so that the person of God can be thoroughly equipped for every good work. Training camp is about learning the plays. So we're talking about training camp, right? And so in training camp, there are a lot of metaphors for life. And we're identifying a few of them. In training camp, in addition to those things that we have discussed, in training camp, teams experience adversity. In fact, football is a game of adversity. Think about it. Every play is a collision with opposition. It's a game of adversity. And so when they go to training camp, what they're doing is that they're getting used to that type of intense opposition all the time. And so they engage it as they scrimmage one with another, but there are also other factors. They have to fight fatigue. They have to go through 2-a-day practices. They've got to worry about somebody taking their position. Many people, even veterans, have got to worry about making the team all over again. Training camp is filled with adversity, and that adversity prepares them for greater adversity when the real games begin. And understand, last year's adversity will not help you this year if you are an NFL player, because they're looking and grading you not based upon last year, but they're grading you based upon this year. And similarly, in life, you and I have to face adversity if we are going to get to where God has called us to be. Any worthy destination does not take place on a comfortable road. You cannot make progress toward a worthy place on a road filled with comfort. And some of you in this room, you've experienced adversity before, and you have been able to navigate through that. But right now, you have a different set of adverse circumstances. And I want you to know that it doesn't necessarily mean because you conquered adversity in another zone in your life that you are going to conquer this adversity, because the same faith that was required for the adversity that took place 3 years ago is required for this new challenge in your life. And let me just say to somebody, that faith works for this too. We face adversity, and this is just the heart of what that game that we call football is all about. Raheem Mostert. I just learned about this guy a couple of weeks ago. Raheem Mostert is the starting running back for the San Francisco 49ers. He went off on Green Bay a couple of weeks ago. Did you see the game? Yes. Now, Joanna had on that Green Bay paraphernalia. But if this was like the day after that massacre, she might not even have on a jersey today. I don't know. But he went off against them. And I want you to see some of his highlights.
George Kittle at the bottom.
Somehow the handoff into the arms of Mostert. He's gone. Touchdown, San Francisco. Mostert in the backfield. He gets it. Samuel out in front. Touchdown. Down at their own 31. Toss to Mostert. Cuts back. Rumbles down inside the 35. Second down and 9. Here he is again. Mostert touchdown, his third.
So on that day, Mostert ran for 220 yards. It was a franchise record for the 49ers, and it was the second most yards in a playoff game in NFL history. But he went through 4 years of adversity to have the game of his life. Let me give you his stats. First of all, he was undrafted out of Purdue. He was cut by Miami. He was cut by Philadelphia. He was cut by the New York Jets and the Cleveland Browns. What is that? He was cut by the Chicago Bears. Mostert was cut 6 times, but he kept pursuing his dream. He refused to quit. And as a result, 2 weeks ago, he had the game of his life. And on today, he is going to be the starting running back for the San Francisco 49ers. Mostert is living his dream because he didn't quit. Friend, this is the whole point of the day for somebody in here. You came here and the devil has been tempting you to turn in your shoulder pads and your helmet and your cleats. And I want you to know that it is always too soon to quit. I know you may have been telling yourself a few things. Other people don't believe in me. Others have cut me. Maybe you made some mistakes in the past. Perhaps you have been experiencing misfortune. But I've come to tell you that it's still too soon to quit. Don't give up before God shows up. I think it's just about that time. Weeping has endured all night. Somebody say joy. Joy is coming in the morning. The Bible says, let us not get weary in well-doing, because at the proper time, we will reap a harvest if we don't give up. Mostert tried out for team after team. He got cut, and then 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 he got cut, but he kept getting up. Friend, if you fall 6 times, all you have to do to walk into God's purpose is get up 7 times. Don't give up. I feel that in my spirit. Somebody here, you're right on the line. You're right on the line between your yesterday and your tomorrow. Don't give up. And so in training camp, you experience adversity, see. And that adversity prepares you for the next season of your life. And it prepares you to walk with God in ways that you have never imagined. Mostert is going to run as the starting running back on today for the San Francisco 49ers. Here's the last one. In training camp, you receive coaching. You receive coaching. And so They are coached up so that they can reach their level of greatness. All of us have different levels of greatness, right? Your greatness is not my greatness. I could never do what you do. Now, you could probably do what I do, but I could never do what you do. In fact, none of us can really do what others can do because we are unique. We have unique gifts. We have unique perspectives. But in training camp, they are coached up. In fact, good coaches, they pull out of players what they have in them. Great coaches pull out of players things that they didn't even know that they had in them. And so, but it's at training camp that this begins. Certainly it continues throughout the season, but it is expected that significant progress will be made in the training camp experience. Tom Landry said this about coaching. He says, my job is to get people to do what they don't want to do so that they can become who they have wanted to become all of their lives. Friend, that's coaching. And coaching makes the difference. Coaching makes the difference. It matters. Friend, a bad team, or rather a good team cannot overcome bad coaching. Both of the teams who are in the Super Bowl, they have great coaches. Andy Reid is one of the greatest coaches in the history of the NFL. Consistent Chiefs fan right there. Okay. I'm just happy we don't have a whole lot of 49er fans. That's all I'm happy. Okay. He's one of the best. In fact, a win today will solidify his legacy. Kyle Shanahan, the young coach for the 49ers, he's an exceptional young coach. He has the 49ers in the Super Bowl after only his third year there. And many people think he's going to make his mark on the NFL for years to come. They have great coaches. And the coaching has made the difference. That's why they are there. Don't get me wrong, they have talented players. They got many first-round draft picks that are making a contribution. But good teams cannot overcome bad coaching. They can't do it because coaching makes a difference. And I'm going to give you the perfect example. So, Billy, they preaching the sermon for me. I don't even have to preach it. Okay, so there's this team. They play about 180 miles north of here. Their uniform colors are silver and blue, and they have this star on their helmets. And they were picked by many people to be in the Super Bowl this year. And make no mistake about it, they have enough talent to be in the Super Bowl. But inexplicably, they didn't even make the playoffs. And they have been underperforming. Come on, Cowboy fans, you know what I'm talking about. They have been underperforming for a few years now. And so finally, God intervened. And they got a new coach. Now, somebody here, you might ought to get a new coach. If you are not fulfilling your potential, if there is something in you that you can't get out of you, you might want to look into a new coach. In fact, while I'm here, Can I recommend one? He's been coaching for a long time. He has coached not hundreds, but millions of Hall of Famers. He has the best offensive scheme, the best defensive scheme. With him, we always win. With him, we are more than conquerors. With him, no weapon formed against us shall prosper. With him for us, who can be against us? Coach Jesus is available. Coach Jesus is available. He's the greatest coach ever. And he ought to be the greatest coach ever because he was the greatest player ever. Nobody ever lived like him. He never lost a game while he was on earth. He never was called for a penalty. He never backstabbed anybody on his team. He never committed a personal foul. And then he's responsible for the greatest comeback in human history. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's why we're here. You see, the opponents thought they won the game on Friday. They put him in the grave. They thought they had momentum. In fact, they did have momentum all day Saturday. But he called an explosive play on Sunday morning and won the game in overtime. Make him your leader. He's been dreaming about coaching you. Make him your leader. You don't have to be the most talented. You don't have to be the most educated. He's been dreaming about coaching you. I'm out with this. When I was thinking about the things that are prioritized in training camp, it occurred to me in light of the events of this week that Kobe Bryant excelled in all of them. He knew how to execute. He was flawless in his execution. There was nothing he couldn't do on the basketball court. He was a team player. He didn't begin as a good team player, but over the years, he learned how to play for his team. In addition to that, he experienced adversity. In fact, he loved adversity, and he submitted to coaching, the coaching of Phil Jackson, to the point that he won 5 championships. Now, I don't know if Kobe was saved. I don't know if Kobe knew Jesus, but I'm going to assume that he did for this sermon. Here's what I do know. I know that he went to his church early Sunday morning, and he took communion before he got on that helicopter. I just thought it was interesting that he took communion in one moment, and 2 hours later, he looked in the face of the one that the communion was all about. He celebrated the death of Christ in one moment, and then he looked the living Christ in the face in the next moment. And Kobe got his 6th championship after he went to heaven. Yes! Friend, understand this. When he got his 6th trophy, the 5 other trophies did not matter. And it did not matter because he did not work for this trophy. but one who died for him, put in all the work. He got trophies that didn't last, but in heaven, he got a trophy that will last forever and ever and ever. Give him praise in the house. He wants to give us something that will last. Everybody stand to your feet all over the building. All of us, we have big goals. There's somewhere we're seeking to go. There's a preferred destination. But in order to get there, you and I need a coach. You and I need a coach who understands us. And more importantly, a coach who understands the ways of God. For what does it profit a man or a woman to gain the whole world and lose his soul? And so I want to encourage you to come to the one who can give you more than earthly prizes. Come to the one who can give you something that will last. If you have never accepted Jesus, I want to encourage you to come, because we want to guide you through a prayer in which you can say yes to Jesus and he'll be your coach forever. Those of you who are here and you want to become a part of a team because you realize that team matters. You can't do this Christ life on your own. We would love to be your teammates. Our team is going to sing. We're ready to receive you. Who'll be the first to say, I need Jesus?
We hope you enjoyed the Greater Mount Zion broadcast. If you're in the Austin area, please join us for one of our Sunday worship services at 8:30 a.m. and 11 o'clock a.m. We are located at 4301 Tannehill Lane, Austin, Texas. Email us if you have questions or would like to share how these broadcasts have changed your life at info@gmzaustin.org. Always remember, greater days are ahead at Greater Mount Zion.